Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with my next pan that face palette update. This year I am panning my Hourglass Ambient Edit Ghost palette, which has which has 6 shades in it, which are 2 face powders, 1 highlighter, 1 bronzer, and 2 blushes. And I have been loving this palette. It's been a really fun palette to work on. It's also my first ever pan that face palette, and I think I'm doing pretty well with it. So I'm excited to share with you what this palette stands today. I'm obviously going to go through the footage of the beginning of the year all the way up until now, and also show you, of course, the numbers for this update. But before I jump into that footage, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So, alright, so since we are in August, I'm going to go ahead and insert the footage already here, what the palette looks like. But like I said, this palette has 2 face powders, which are the first 2 shades. Then it has 1 highlighter, 1 bronzer, and then 2 blushes. And yeah, it's a really beautiful, kind of versatile palette. It works really nice for my skin tone. You can see what it has been looking like over the first couple months right here. In the beginning of the year, I mainly focused on the 2 center shades, so the lightest face powder and the darkest blush. That was kind of my main focus. The bronzer I've been using every now and then. Same with the highlighter. However, when we got to summer, which I think hopefully you'll be seeing around now, I started using the first powder in the palette as well as the last blush a lot, and that has been my newest focus for the last couple of months. Of course, again, I've been focusing on some of the other shades too, but those 2 has been my main focuses. So this is what the palette looked like at the last update. Yeah, so you can see that I had pan on 1 shade, which I had a couple months ago, and my goal for this month was to pan on the bottom right corner blush. And this is what the palette looks like today. So you can see some big differences. You can see obviously that I have some decent use on 1 shade in particular, but I'm really happy to share with you what this palette looks like today, and of course the numbers too. But yeah, I'm very happy that you can finally see some more visible progress. So like I said, that is what the palette looks like. I will have footage up here as well so you can see, but that is the palette today. I'm really excited about it, but again, I will have the comparison pictures right here so you can see the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first shade. I'm obviously going to talk you through each shade and again the numbers, but I'll start with the first shade in the palette, which is the shade Dim Light. So this is the deeper out of the 2 face powders, and this one suits me best now in summer, which is why I'm focusing on it right now. And in the past month, I have reached for this one 26 times. When I reach for this shade, it's mainly to mix with the blush down here, or to kind of buff out my cheek products. If they are like a little bit too strong, I use that one to kind of just make it a little bit more melded into my skin, and it works really well for that. So 26 used in the past month, and this one is definitely quite flat now. Hopefully you can see that right there. I think you can. So, you know, I don't think I'm that close to pan, but it's definitely getting lower. So that is the first shade in the palette. Next to that we have the shade Diffuse Light, which I haven't used at all. I'm waiting with this one until later in the year, when I know that I'm a little bit paler. And of course you can see I already have pan on that shade. The last shade on the first row is the shade Iridescent Strobe Light, which is the highlighter of the palette. And this is one that I am neglecting a little bit because I'm panning other highlighters too. And because of that, I put in a usage goal of 10 uses every single month. And if I don't hit that usage goal, the remaining uses for 10 roll over to next month. And that is going to be the case here. So in the past month, I've only reached for the shade 6 times. So 4 uses going to roll over to next month, which means I'm going to have a usage goal of 14. And I have actually found a way to use this one which I prefer than as a highlighter, because it's a very subtle highlighter, and that is actually a way that I'm wearing it today, so I wanted to show you. But I have actually started mixing this highlighter with this blush just to make it even more luminous, and again, that is what I'm doing today. I do have, of course, my regular highlighter on, but yeah, hopefully you can see how luminous my blush is, and I really think it's very flattering. So I'm going to continue doing that, and hopefully that means I can get a lot more progress on that highlighter. I do think it will mean that I will slow down on this face powder right here, but I will continue using it as like a buffer powder. But I do really need to get some more use out of the highlighter, because it is the like biggest pan in the palette. Like, I don't know if you can see again from the side, this one definitely has the most product, so I do need to get some more use of it, so I'm happy that I found another way to use it. Alright, so let's move on to the second row. The first shade in the palette is the shade Eternal Bronze Light, which is the bronzer. And this is one, again, like I said, I reach for every now and then. I do pan another bronzer too, so I kind of split my love between both of them. And as I've been mentioning in a couple other videos, I've been loving doing cream bronzer and like cream cheek products, which means that I use less of my powder bronzers, but in the past month I used this on 7 times, so still a decent amount. And in general, this bronzer is very flat, so I'm expecting this one to be done before the end of the year either way. Even if I keep using it a couple times every month, I do think this one will be done, so I'm not worried about it. Then in the center of the bottom row we have the blush that I'm currently not using. I haven't been focusing on this one at all because I'm being very focused on the last blush in the palette, which you might be able to see in the progress pictures. But that is the shade Iridescent Rose, and again, that one hasn't been used at all, so 0 uses for that blush. However, the shade next to it is the shade Sublime Flush, which again I had a go to it pan on in the past month. And as you can see very clearly in the progress pictures, as well as here, I have been very much able to pan on it. It is now very thin and very little product left, and I'm very happy with how this blush is looking. It has taken a lot of dedicated use though to get it to this point. This has been the only blush I've been reaching for, like powder blush wise. I've been reaching for cream blushes, like I said, as a base, but this one has been the only powder blush I've been reaching for in the past month. And because of that, I have 31 uses on it, which is insane. Actually, I'm lying, I have reached for another blush a couple times, but I mean, this one has been in most of my looks. So 31 uses, which is really good, and I'm very happy with that. And again, that blush is now very thin and not very much left of it, so I'm always excited to see that. And I was thinking, could I finish it before this update? And a week or so ago, or even like a week and a half ago, when I had already hit massive pan on it, I was like, maybe I can surprise all of them and finish it up. But I wasn't quite able to get there. But again, it's very thin, and I think this one doesn't have too much use on it, maybe like 10 more uses max, which again is very exciting. So those were all of the uses for this palette. Again, that is the overview. I'm really happy. Again, all of the shades are very flat apart from the highlight. Again, that is the kind of most full product, but yeah, I'm really excited with how this palette is looking. It's definitely looking well loved now, and I do have some goals for next month, but I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. But before that, I'm going to go into the weights for this palette and talk you through how much I've actually used up in the past month. Alright, so I'm just going to sum up quickly the advertised weight of the palette, what my goal is every month, as well as the quarter usage leading up to July, because I think that's easier than mentioning every single month. So at the start of the year, this palette weighed 138.32 grams. And it has an advertised weight of 8.4 grams, which means that I have a goal to reach for this palette 0.70 grams per month, or I have a goal to finish up 0.70 grams per month. So that is kind of the baseline. That is what I am expecting to do minimum every single month. I haven't done that every single month, but overall I have been able to keep on track. And in quarter 1, I was able to reach for this one, or I was able to finish off 2.33 grams. And at that point, the goal was 2.1. So I was ahead of schedule already at that point. In quarter 2, I was able to reach for 2.14 grams. And again, slightly ahead of schedule. And at that point, I had reached for a total of 4.47 grams. And again, the goal is 4.2. So really happy with where this palette was at the start of quarter 3, which is the quarter we're in right now. And in July, which was leading up to last update, I was able to reach for 1 gram exactly, for a total of 5.47 grams out of this palette. And at that point, this palette weighed 132.85 grams. So again, that is where I was last update. And today this palette weighs 131.92 grams, which means that I have been able to reach for 0.93 grams in the past month, which is a little bit less than the month leading up, but it's very much ahead of schedule, again considering I have to use 0.70 grams per month. With all of that being said, the total right now for used up in this palette is 6.4 grams, which is very exciting. And if you remember from the earliest numbers that I mentioned, this palette has an advertised weight of 8.4, which means that to finish up the advertised weight of this palette, I only have to finish up 2 more grams, which realistically that would only be like 2 to 3 months, considering how much I've been using up in the last 2 months. But I do expect this one to have more product than the advertised weight, because each shade in here are advertised to have 1.4 grams, which means that 2 grams would only be like 1 and a third of a pan, which I definitely have more than that left. So I'm gonna be interested to see how much is actually in here. Yes, this palette had a little bit of use as well before rolling it into this project, but it was mostly untouched, so we'll see. But again, at this point I have used up 6.4 grams. Alright, so again, this is what the palette looks like, and I do have some goals for the next month. I did forget to mention as well when I went through the numbers, but I did have like a loose goal to reach for this one right here 20 times, and since I was able to reach for 26 times, I did surpass that goal as well. But for the upcoming month, I do have one main goal, and that is going to be to actually finish this blush here. I want that one to be the first product that I finish, and having one blush less in this palette would be amazing. And that means that I can go back to focusing on this other blush. And I do want to get this kind of more summery, brighter, kind of pinkier blush out before we get into the autumn months. So that's going to be my first goal, is to finish up that blush, and again that's going to be my main goal. Then I do of course also want to reach for this highlighter, the 10 plus 4 times, so 14 times in the next month, used as like the standard what I want to do every single month. And considering I've been starting using this one in combination with this blush, I think that will be working out really well while I'm finishing this one. So hopefully that means I can get some decent use out of that highlighter. Of course, like when I finish up that blush, I want to start working on this blush again, but I'm not going to put any usage goal or anything because I don't know how long it's going to take to finish that blush right there. But I do want to put in a third goal, and what should that be? I'm trying to think of what I should focus on. Maybe I want to put in another usage goal of 20 on this one, just because I know that I want to get use out of this one now when we are in like summer, when I'm a little bit more tanned. I'm a little bit paler today because I haven't fake tanned in a while, but I actually scrubbed off my fake tan, but then I haven't fake tan again, so I'm a little bit paler right now, but I will fake tan shortly again in the next coming days, and that means that I should hopefully get some good use out of this one when I'm a little bit tanner. So 20 uses on that, I think again is a reasonable thing to do, because I know when we get into like winter and I won't fake tan anymore, and I will lose all the natural tan I have as well, that shade just won't suit me very well anymore. I probably will have to mix it into the bronzer and able to use it up at that point. So I think 20 more uses on that right now is very reasonable. So that is going to be my goals for next month. I'm really excited to see what I can do with this palette in the next month. I do think that I will be able to finish that blush, which will be amazing, and that again will be my first empty, and then with the rest we're just going to see how it goes. But that is going to be it for today, you guys. Let me know if you're doing a Pan That face palette, and if so, how you're doing. I know a couple of you guys update me every single month, and I love hearing from you guys in the comments, so make sure to update me this month as well. But of course, other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.